Monday. My mom drove me the 60 kilometers to the heliport of Rotorua. We had to report by 7 a.m., so that meant a very early start, but I hardly slept all night anyways, as I was so excited. They waved us through security, and I was really worried as we drove up to the hangar. What if it had all been a misunderstanding? If they laughed at me when they said I was there to work with them for a week? It was really difficult to arrange this work experience. My friends have all gone to sit in offices and are just making the coffee, and I wanted more than that. But it was all right. Kevin in the office said hi. They were expecting me. But was I up for some hard work? You bet I was. Was my stomach strong? I hoped so. Helivet NZ is a unique company, and my first duty was to attend an orientation briefing where they explained the services they offered. Here in New Zealand, many farms are up in the mountains, and it's really hard for vets to get there fast enough when there's an emergency. So Helivet has a team of highly experienced vets on standby, and when the call comes, out they go. Actually, there were no call-outs today, so I was able to meet the team and begin to understand how it all worked. They let me sit in the helicopter. Tuesday. The call-out came before 8 a.m. We ran to the helicopter, the pilot, the vet, and the loadmaster and me. I was taking the place of a flying nurse. It was a big responsibility. You don't know where you're going until you're in the air. It all comes through the radio from the control room. There was a cow in labor on a high farm, and they couldn't deliver the calf. If you don't get there quickly enough, the calf could get tangled up in the umbilical cord, IGCSE biology, and asphyxiate. So it's always a run to the helicopter and a rush to get into the air as fast as we can. The loadmaster sits next to the pilot, and they have to identify the farm from the air, which wasn't easy. There are so many up there, but somehow they managed it. We landed in a field next to the house, and 3 of us ran in while the pilot stayed in the helicopter. The farmer was waiting anxiously and took us to the barn. Joe, the vet, immediately took over, giving us all instructions. Helping a cow to calve turns out not to be a very subtle process. He stuck her hand inside the cow and after a while attached a rope. The loadmaster and I pulled on the rope like a tug of war while Joe coaxed from within, and a minute later the calf plopped out. The calf was soon staggering around, and we were back in the helicopter and on our way home, feeling we'd done a good job. A happy, groggy calf, a relieved mom, and a very relieved farmer. Wednesday. This was quite a boring day. No calls at all. I was itching to be flying into the mountains again, but instead I spent the time checking the medical supplies and polishing the helicopter. The helicopter is very big, and there's an awful lot of metal to polish. It's not all drama like on TV, but I hope tomorrow it will be a bit more lively. Thursday. Today was pretty much a rerun of Tuesday. It's calving season, and apparently it's common for the farmer to need help with difficult births. This time it was over before we got there, and everything was fine. But you never know, and the team always responds to a call just in case. Friday, my last day. I was hoping for a really good call-out, and I was not disappointed. Apparently a bunch of lambs had fallen into a gully in the mountains, and that's the trouble with lambs. Where one goes, all the others will follow, no matter how crazy. We were flying all over really wild mountains. There was no way we could land anywhere. I couldn't see how we would ever even find them. But then I saw a green flare rising into the sky like a reversed comet, and we saw a group of men with a 4x4. This was where it got really scary. The loadmaster strapped Joe into a harness, and then she sat in the open door of the helicopter and jumped out. But the winch is strong, so those guys really know what they're doing. She was lowered slowly into the gully while the pilot hovered really skillfully, frighteningly close to the cliff face. I could see Joe scoop up a struggling lamb and tie it to this tiny stretcher she had, and then another. She had to go down 3 times before they were all rescued and in the helicopter. As soon as she was out of the harness, Joe said, "They all need checking out. Take them all back." So I helped her to look after the lambs, holding them as she sedated them during the short flight back. She took them into the medical facility at the back of the hangar, but then she said she thought they'd all recover once the shock had passed. And that was it. I had to say goodbye and go home. But one thing I now know for sure is this is the only job I want to do.